All right, so this week on Strike Missions, I'm gonna go over an experimental board that I made with Ron Meeks, a shaper that I've been working with a long time, and WRV. And basically, it was a bunch of ideas to try to change a big wave gun and make it a little bit more performance oriented. So we had been throwing down a few concepts and trying things incrementally that really worked. And then we were just kind of like, screw it, we'll try every single idea all in one board. And knew it was risky, and actually, if I was going to be honest, doubted that it was going to work as well as it ended up working. And I just remember getting this board shaped and grabbing it from Ron and just thinking, God, if this board doesn't actually work, there's no way I'll ever be able to sell it because it looks so weird that nobody's going to want this thing. So I'm going to be stuck with it for life. But I got to try it on a medium large swell at Waimea before the winter ended, and got one session in, and it's actually an amazing board, which is kind of mind-blowing. It's just so odd compared to the traditional big wave guns that we're riding, and I'll show you some of the subtle features and some not so subtle that went into this board design. One of the key factors is the wide point is way further back on the board. Typically the wide point would be somewhere up here. And one of the reasons why people don't do a wide point farther forward is it tends to create more drag in the back. It slows down the board when you're surfing it, and it also makes it paddle a little slower. But the thing is you're also, the benefit is you're turning off your rail further back here. Most big wave boards, they turn well when they're going super, super fast, but once you kind of pick a line, it wants to stick to that line. It's hard to make those adjustments quickly. So I wanted to be able to make those adjustments quickly with a wide point further back. But being that we knew we were going to lose potentially some speed, we had to hedge our bets on it and really bring a ton of foam up forward. That's going to negate the loss of paddle speed. It's going to give you more float under your chest. And also a factor in riding it and making sure we still keep the speed was throwing in a set of quads in there. So the fin setup, quads are almost always a lot faster than a thruster setup. So that's where we tried to balance it out. Another thing that we did is we stepped these rails way down. So this wide point where my rail's in the water is actually the same thickness rail that's touching the water as maybe like a 610 pipe board. So that's a big difference, because when you're going fast on a big board, you're creating more lift. That's why you skip, right? So that tension against the water makes a big bulky rail hard to get in and bite. So with the quad setup and the thinner rail, it takes a lot less effort with a big board on a big wave to get that rail in the water. And this is where things get really weird, is up on this nose here. I forget what he calls this, but it looks ridiculous. Like when you're looking over the nose of your board, it looks like you're riding Mickey Mouse's boot or something. It's a bit trippy, but something that he said is that it'll cut through wind better in theory, and which I think it does. The other thing that it does is I find that when I'm punching through whitewaters going out somewhere, it just goes right through it. Like your board doesn't get yanked around left or right, and it just cuts through water really, really well. And again, we got a very trippy situation up here where we got this hard, kind of almost 45-degree cut down and a knife-like edge up there. So it was a bunch of different things that we had been trying one at a time, and then just threw it all in one board, and I got to surf on it, and I think it works amazing. It's like one of the best big boards I've ever ridden in my life. So it's been a success. Ron named it the Mothership, and I'll be riding a lot of these next winter and chasing any swells. So just thought I'd break it down and show you the first surf, just experimenting and feeling it out, really. It's not like it was a big crazy day. It was just to go out and see if I can engage the rail higher up on the face of the wave as I'm coming down, which gives you a better projection to to get out around it and make the wave successfully. And I really think it achieved that. And also got to get my best left barrel I've ever had at Waimea. And I really do believe it was because of this rail line here. You're able on a board that big to get your rail to bite before you get all the way down the wave. A lot of times with a big board, as you're trying to knife it, it just wants to kind of drift because it's got all that rail you're trying to put in the water. But this thing, you stand up on it and it feels like you're riding a 610 or something, and this thing is a 9.6. But yeah, that's what keeps surfing fun for me, is just experimenting and trying to figure out how to do things better. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little experiment that I've done. If you like what you see, subscribe, like this video, set on notifications, and we'll be putting out these Strike Missions episodes every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time.